Hi, I'm Michael. We've done a series of videos on policy stuff, and I know that they're not super interesting for everybody, so I get that. But this stuff that we're doing is important, and really, as we've said lots of times before, there's a lot of parts about going to the moon. And we've referenced hardware, business outreach, and framework several times, and again, we're still really focusing on the framework side, the role of government, and the kind of programs that are coming out. So just 2 weeks ago, the White House and the National Space Council came up with this new document. And I really can't describe how excited I am about this document. I wish this document had come out years ago, but this new national space policy, which, by the way, came out 3 days after the anniversary of going to the moon. I don't think that's a coincidence. I wish that this document had come out a couple of years ago, because I really do think that this new policy sets the stage for, in air quotes, the future, right? The kinds of things that we're trying to do. So I know that this feels like it's a departure from our space elevator content and the work that we're doing on the grand architecture, but I feel like this document is a significant step in the right direction, and this lays the foundation for the rest of the work that we're doing. So in this document, it talks about a lot of things. We will go into it further as we get deeper into this document, but these are the things that are coming up. And the area that we're focusing on today, it's really just pages 4, 5, and 6 of a 23-page document. So everything that we've done so far has really been preamble, and this is really the meat of what we're trying to get into. So, what is this thing? This is very clearly an American-centric space policy document. So as you've seen in our prior videos, as you'll see in future videos, this really does have an American perspective. But I want to point out that we're talking about kind of American values, right? That's one of the first things that comes off, the second sentence in this section is really talking about democracy, human rights, constitutional government, rule of law, and free markets, right? Those are the values that this document is trying to take forward into space. As we develop space, as we commercialize space, under an American strategy, we're going to take these values with us. And then the other point to this, the very first sentence in this section, is span multiple administrations and Congresses. We're in an interesting point in time. The American election is less than 100 days away. And the idea that this document just was created with such a pivotal election point coming up in a few weeks, really begs the question: does this document survive the next transition? Do we stick with the Trump era, or do we move to something different? I told my guys I'm wearing my Marine Corps T-shirt today on purpose. Despite my COVID-compatible couture, I look at things from that lens, from being a former U.S. Marine. But I also look at it from the perspective of International Space University and being a globalist, right? So I have the one hat of my history being a jarhead and being pretty patriotic, and on the other hat, as I looked at the world with clearer eyes, with a larger vision, the globalist in me kind of took over. So I look at this policy that we're talking about, and I'm excited both from the American perspective and from the globalist perspective. So I really want that to be clear. That as we look at this very Amerocentric perspective, this policy that's really driven to expand American interests and American values, what I really hope to convey is that while this is an American document, I believe it has good implications for the rest of the world. I wouldn't be doing this video, we wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't think it had real weight and value as we move forward into the future. So as a tool for shaping international environments, American national policy is going to focus on routine operations to the moon. Now, if that doesn't excite you, I don't know why you're watching this video in the first place. Like, that really is exciting to me. Routine operations to the moon. All right, I'll never get used to that. That will never get old to me. And they talk about it being more than just a physical destination. I think that's true. It's a symbolic destination as much as anything else. I was once in a meeting, and that's another story. But I was once in a meeting where somebody was asking us, what role the moon plays, and I sat with this woman afterwards for a while and talked with her, and she said, something that was very profound to me is that the moon is really the one thing that all humanity ever has had in common. We can't look at the sun, right? The sun doesn't have the same psychological connections to us, but the moon, every human who's ever lived has had a personal relationship with the moon. And so the moon is very symbolically powerful. So it's more than just a physical destination. It helps us answer scientific questions. It helps us understand new capabilities, new technologies, and eventually building an adaptable space infrastructure with our international partners. Right? That's what the moon means in this document. Two main things that we're going to do. We're going to develop technologies and capabilities, and we're going to operate on another planetary surface. Right? That's what this document's all about. If you don't read all 23 pages, if you just decide you're going to read one sentence, this is the sentence to read. We're going to do these two things. We're going to get better at technology and capabilities. We're going to go to another planet. It starts with the moon. So that's it, the end. You don't need to read the rest of the 23 pages. Moving on, what if a, quote, malign competitor does it? Well, whenever you read a document like this, you don't have to use misleading language. In the document like this, what malign competitor means is very bluntly China, and to a lesser degree, Russia. I'm actually surprised they didn't put that direct language in here, because that's in lots of other documents. But that's really what they're talking about. It's like, if we don't get there first and somebody else does, then they get all the benefits. So this is saying we're going to go and we're going to take all of our friends with us. And I like this line about abiding presence of the United States. I know the last 4 years have been really bumpy for our international partners. There's been a lot of, there's been less security. People have not really known where we stood on some things. So I like this line about an abiding presence, and I feel like that alludes to the U.S. Space Force in some significant ways. So you can read into that what you like, but to me, this paragraph, this set of sentences is really about. There's some defense elements to this paragraph.